Central Mafia. I was looking that way before you guys jumped in. I was just, dancing. So, hello, Central Mafia. So good to see everybody. I hope I'm not seeing you, but I hope so good that you are able to join us for this live stream. I am super excited for our session today, especially because it is something that we brought back from our meetup. So, if you were not able to go to our meetup, surprise, you can get one of our sessions. And if you were at the meetup and you didn't get a chance to go to Lynette's session, then now you get the opportunity. So it's a win-win-win for everybody. So super excited to have you guys over here. So just gonna go ahead through a couple of housekeeping items to remind people about all the things that we are doing. So again, today we have Miss Lynette from ConnectWise joining us. She'll be on stage here in a few seconds. So you know me, I'm Juan Mac. I'm your facilitator for the Central Mafia. Sean, it is extremely busy getting ready for IT Nation Connect, also leading the Pitch It event. So I am flying solo today. So hopefully I can keep the energy, I can have that good conversation, and Paul will go a little bit faster because since he's not here, we can trash on, on Sean. Well, actually, he keeps me on track. That's the thing. So I will try to stay on track for this one, and hopefully we'll be out of here in 2 hours. So if you are new to the Central Mafia, what is the Central Mafia? The Central Mafia, it is an MSP community built by MSPs for the MSPs. What this means is we would like you to engage with us and ask questions, because that's how we make this community even better. On sessions like this, just reaching out to or asking questions on the chat, you can reach out to us, make suggestions. If you found about this during or using our LinkedIn page, there's a way to connect with us. So make any suggestions, anything that you would like to see on these events or even on live events, anything you would like to do, just let us know. Or if you have an idea, right? Like, hey, I would like to present on X, or I would like to talk about anything, just let us know, because the more we collaborate, the more we bring our partners in, the better the community is. And then also make sure that you make all those different connections. One of the great things about this MSP community is like everybody wants to help each other. So we do that by making the connections through all the different partners and also with our vendors. Speaking of making connections, there's several ways that you can do that. One is on our Slack page. So you're at your office, you're probably viewing this again through YouTube. Take your phone out and just scan this QR code. One is our Slack, and that is where you can reach out to me directly, because I'm in there. Any of the other partners, you can post a question, and then get that feedback. The other one, if you want to know what's happening, the best way to do that is through our LinkedIn page. In there, you'll see the post for all these events that we have on a regular basis, where we're going to be at, where if you want to know about our upcoming meetups, and also information from our vendor partners that we share with everybody. So that is the best way to stay in touch and stay up to date. This session is being streamed into LinkedIn and also into YouTube, and it resides in our YouTube channel. So if you watch this and you say, this was awesome, because it is going to be awesome, and I want to share this now with my team, all you have to do is go to the YouTube channel, and I'm pausing so you can take your phone out and then, get a screenshot, scan this QR code, and it will take you into our YouTube channel. So you can share this session and all of our sessions that we've had in the past with any of your team members or any other partners. Or if you would just want to review, that way you can go back, pause, see if we mentioned something, and you can go ahead and review that. So all of those are on our YouTube channel. Another way that we try to stay connected is through our newsletter. So we do have a monthly newsletter in there. We just share updates from the community. We also have a partner spotlight when one of our partners just share their experience, what's happening with them, or maybe some industry insight. And also we share information from our partner, from our vendor partners, useful information for the whole community. So just try to stay engaged, and also what's happening, what's coming up next. We do these live streams we try to do these at least twice a month with the open mic. The open mic are great because on these, you're right now on LinkedIn, you're on YouTube, you can put your comments on the chat. Well, the open mic, we do those via Teams, so we can all get together and we just have these open conversations about any topic that you want. Just bring a question, and then all the partners collaborate, and those are fantastic. Again, another way to stay connected and meet new people within our community. Speaking of upcoming events, I hope everybody is registered for IT Nation Connect. It's only here in a couple of weeks. I'm sure registration is still open, so go ahead and you can still register for this event. And the Central Mafia is going to be there. So we'll be at the Community of Communities section. That'll be inside of the Solution Pavilion. So if you're heading over to Orlando, make sure that when you go to the Solution Pavilion, stop by the community section, and we would like to say hi to you. And then we're going to have some giveaways over there. So stop by. I would love to see you and meet you over there. Also, during IT Nation Connect, we know that ConnectWise has partnered with K9 for Warriors. They've been doing this for quite a few years now. It is a great organization helping our veterans, especially when they come back, and having to face some trauma. So they're preparing them with trained dogs. I believe with all the money that they raised, they were actually able to sponsor the full training of one of these animals and be able to pair it with one of our veterans. So it's a great cause, and congratulations to ConnectWise for keeping this as part of their give back to the community. So we want to do the same as the Central Mafia. We want to collect all that and be able to donate to K9 for Warriors as the Central Mafia. So even you don't have to go to IT Nation Connect in order to donate. You've probably seen a lot of the messaging that has been going out. But if you're not going to be there, just scan this QR code. There's that link also on the banner. And we would love to, represent the Central Mafia as a community donating for K9 for Warriors. So there is that link, and there'll also be some more information heading your way here in the next week or so regarding this. So we'd love for you to help with that. We can't make any of our live events, or we were able to have this platform where we can deliver all this content to you without the support of all of our sponsors. So we're very grateful for them for believing in our cause and for helping us do what we do. So thank you for ConnectWise for your partnership and support. We also have Pivotal Crew. They just joined our group recently, providing great ConnectWise best practices, helped when it comes to service desk support in FEMA. They've been a long-time partner, providing cybersecurity awareness training, mobile in order to enhance your project management. Also a long-time supporter of the Central Mafia. Sention, when it comes to manage endpoints security and hardening. They have provided great topics throughout this year on cybersecurity. And also Exemplify. Exemplify is kind of like a silent partner. They actually support the platform that we use to send all the messaging out to you guys through our through a newsletter or messaging, because our list has grown so much that we actually need a platform in order to send this. So thank you, Exemplify, and they will actually be one of our partners going to be presenting here in the future if you're interested in using this platform, because it's also built for MSP. So again, thank you for all the partners. They again believe in what we do and providing their support. So today, what are we going to do? Like I said, it's one of the sessions that we had over at our meetup, and Lynette presented this awesome presentation about all about automation. So we hear a lot about automation. We hear about a lot of AI, and there's a plethora of products out there that you can use. The nice thing is, inside of the ConnectWise platforms, there are tools that you can use today. So today she's going to kind of like separate those and explain like what are the power, what's the power of using some of these inside of PSA that we had for a while, and how you can actually go back to that. The power of RMM, if you're using those endpoints, and also the power of RPA inside the ACO platform that is also available to all partners right now that you can start using. So based on those different use cases, she's going to explain like the strengths and the use of each one. And like I said, these are tools that you have at your disposal today. So you don't have to buy new products, if you want to start with automation and overcomplicating your stack. So, and all of three of them can become a great team in there, and you can use it also in collaboration. So with that, we would like to welcome to the stage Miss Lynette. Hello.
Thank you so much for having me, Juan. The Central Mafia has a dear place in my heart, being from Wisconsin. And
you have been a long-time partner of the Central Mafia being in Chicago.
I have. It was actually at a Central Mafia user group that it finally clicked for me what PSA was, and just it clicked with my brain, and I'm like, oh my God, this is just how my life works. So
yeah.
It fueled my passion, and I'm still here. So
yep. You've been there, and that's the beauty of these user groups, right? So being there, be able to find that click, not only from, I think it's not only from the presenters, but it's always by talking to other people in there, during like the networking events, during the session, lunch. I mean, that talk just go out through the whole day. So thank you.
I'd always look for those one or two nuggets that I could take back, because sometimes if you try taking it all back, it's just overwhelming and you get nothing done. So pick two and run with them.
Perfect. So whenever you're ready, I know our backstage has us on the clock. So I will let you get started and talk about, like I said, I'm super excited about this one. I'll try, not to step over the things that you're doing here, because I'm using all of those. So
I love it, and I love to get that partner feedback while we're doing this. It's a lot more fun with the webinar when you can get that immediate feedback. So as Juan said, I am from the Central Mafia. This is my place. This is my home. I have been at ConnectWise on the education team for a little over 3 years now. Prior to that, a couple MSPs in the Milwaukee area. So I know what you're doing on those front lines. I've seen it. I know how PSA can help, and it's just, there's so much that it can do. And I feel like so many of the partners aren't using it to its full potential. So hopefully today this can help. Going to go through an introduction to automation. Kind of, I know ConnectWise and all over the internet, you hear hyper automation and RPA, and what the heck does all of that mean? I have thought for a while that hyper automation was a word we made up, but I did find it a lot in other places on the website, on the internet. Could be that we made it up and people jumped on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I did. I did the same thing. I was like, what is hyper automation? And I Googled, it's like, well, it's not a made up word now.
From I thought maybe it was something that Sean just pulled out of his head, but it's not.
It is true.
So, and then we're going to talk about streamlining your operations through using those different automation tools at your hand. And then how we can use those automation tools to keep our processes and our devices up to date. And then finally, planning and measuring the effectiveness and looking at how we know where our automation is best situated. Words are hard. It is almost Friday, Juan. I'm ready for a cocktail, let me tell you. So wanted to start out with this quote from James Clearwater with the Atomic Habit. So time magnifies the margin between success and failure. It will multiply whatever you feed it. Good habits make time your ally. Bad habits make time your enemy. And I want to make this clear, because automation, whether it's PSA, RMM, or RPA, ASIO, it can't fix bad process. You have to, even AI is not going to fix your bad process. I know everybody thinks, AI is going to fix everything. No, because it's going to learn from what you have. So if you have bad habits in your system, that is what the AI is going to learn. It's like a teenager following you around, doing whatever you do. So that is the first step, is make sure that you have good processes, that your team is following those. And I know sometimes that's easier said than done. But ideally, there's some workflows and some automation that we can help make that a little easier, kind of poke at them when they need to do things. So let's start with the introduction to automation. So automation handles repetitive rule-based tasks. That hyper-automation then takes what the other tools are already doing and integrates the AI, the RPA, and all of that into a full business process. So we're taking what PSA and RMM are already doing, adding on that layer of AI and robotic process automation. That's what RPA stands for. I always forget. So our guiding principles are start with your business goals. Just because I'm showing you something here today does not mean that it is the right process maybe for you to start with. Maybe there's something else that makes more sense in your business with your business goals. Optimize before automating. I said it before, you gotta have those processes. You gotta know what you're doing before you start trying to automate, because you're not going to be able to tell once you start automating if things aren't happening. You know, if you set an automation and you expect that it's going to be doing this, and then it's not because somebody isn't doing the step before, there's going to be a breakdown in your process, even with the automation. So make sure you know what those steps are and have that optimized before you try putting in the automation. I can't say this enough. Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. I get it that, you know, sometimes we're trying to deal with getting rid of the human error issue, but no, just keep it simple and it will always work.
This actually resonates. I remember when right before automation, you know, the whole hype was security.
Yep.
Right? Everybody wanted to focus on security, and one of the things, I think it was from ConnectWise, and it was actually when we started with the engaging with the partner program. First step was clean up your house, right? So I think that same, we're following that same process.
Yep.
First thing is, you know, follow your business rules and make sure that you have the good process. You know, make sure that you do the things that you have in there right now. I feel like you need to make sure that you understand that process, that you use the things that you have in there inside of PSA, and make sure they set up correctly. Otherwise, you're going to have a mess after that.
You're just going to have an organized mess, but you're not going to know what anything is or what's going on. And so this quote from Brad Bell, he's an actual partner. We did not pay him to say this. This is an actual testimonial. The QR code here links to the full interview with him. I think it's about 10 minutes. The URL is there as well. But hyper automation allows you to consistently do the same thing all of the time. So it's going to reduce your error, ensure consistency and quality, and get your technicians freed up to do the more meaningful things. So it takes them out of the monotonous things that are taking up their time and lets them do the more innovative things that are going to help you and your clients move to the next level.
Okay. Leave it there. Don't move that. Oh, everybody, here's what you need to do. There, see, now I can go to it. Thank you.
Sure. And this was an interview, I think, Renee, who I know Central Mafia should be familiar with as well. So Renee was working with Brad, and yeah, it talks about hyper automation. And while ConnectWise doesn't always do everything right, this is, you know, we're trying. We're putting all the pieces there and helping partners. So these are our automation terms, and kind of want to look at things going from the technology and how we're getting from that to the business process and how we're merging those through RPA. So you can see the technology side is going to be RMM, automating those actions. So when something's triggered, it's going to set off an alert. Then an RPA bot, once it's triggered, can actually maybe take over that action. In this case, we have the example of a Microsoft 360 tenant. That is something that your techs no longer need to do. This RPA bot can get all of the information from the ticket and set up that tenant. And then we're going to have the PSA workflows, that these are going to automate the actions, changing those ticket statuses, notifying the client, letting them know what's going on, maybe notifying the technician that something needs to be taken, that the next step needs to be taken. And then again, with the proactive monitoring, again, we're looking at RMM for that technology side of that, continuously checking, getting those alerts. And then PSA workflows can continuously check identifying if configurations are expiring. Or, of course, the thing that PSA does the best, I think, is letting you know before you miss your SLAs. That is key. And I think that is one of the things that PSA does amazing that we haven't yet been able to replicate in ASIO. So we still need to keep PSA out there for those SLAs and keep us on target. And then the technology, the RMM script editors, they're going to be able to solve problems in sequence. So doing those complex steps, whatever the scripting that you need to put into your system to install maybe your automate agent or your RMM agent, whatever that looks like. And my mouse has decided to stop. This is live. People can't make it up. And again, those PSA workflows are going to connect your business processes. So whether it's project management, ticket management, your invoicing, your sales, keeping all of that information in there and keeping those things moving and having those workflows to keep things from getting lost and slipping through the cracks. And then, of course, RPA workflows are going to be able to automate those processes once triggered. So they can take a trigger from RMM or PSA and build on that. Or maybe, they take a trigger from RMM and automate something in PSA to kick off a workflow over there. So it's the power of combining all of these, but knowing what they do best and using them wisely. So I did like your little graphic, the one with the little superhero looking one.
I'll send it to you.
Excellent. I love it.
Gemini.
AI is amazing, right? The things that we could do with it. But these are our different fighters. So, we have our standard RMM, our PSA, and then that new RPA feature. And what are their strengths? So PSA is going to be that process, that whole thought, the business end of things. RPA is, of course, that automation, that bot, that kicking something off and it's just going to go down the assembly line. RMM is a little more technical, whether you're running a script or doing a alert, looking for things to happen. You can tell RMM is not my strong suit. I'm definitely more of a PSA girl, but I'm trying here. So PSA, what its strengths are is continuously checking date fields, SLA times, monitoring for those things that didn't happen. So it's keeping you from missing things, looking for the anomalies so that it can make sure that you are notified and take action. And then, of course, the sending notification to specific users, whether it's the dispatcher or the end user for the ticket. Now, over here on RMM, that's more of a devices focus. Where PSA focuses on the process and the records, RMM is focused on those devices and those endpoints. So it's going to continuously check the status, check for issues. It can automatically remediate some of those things. So restarting services, restarting the server, the workstation, whatever it needs to be. And then the ability to resolve those through remote access, whether that is with a tech and the end user or just the tech on their own. And then finally, RPA is going to bring those processes together. So it's going to respond to changes. So it can read things from your submission forms. So if you're not using the end user portal, I highly recommend at this point you start using it. You can bring in the information that you need, start standardizing those tickets and that information that you're looking for, because then RPA is going to allow you to build on that and take that that automation to the next level.
I love the way you presented this. By the way, it started with PSA, RMM, and then the RPA. Because I think when it comes to PSA, these features have been available since we've been using PSA, ConnectWise, Manage, all those different iterations for 15 years already, and that's one of the things that we had to be at the beginning, right? You got your workflows, you got your email connector where you can actually automate some of the priorities and things like that. So there was things that were already built into the system for automation, right?
And it's what PSA does best, and it's what MSPs really have come to depend on it for. I think it is honestly that backbone of the ticketing.
Yeah.
Those checking the SLAs, notifying the people of things that need to be happening or things that aren't happening. The great thing
a lot of the new
RPA,
partners also, when they come in, they start discovering, all these things that are really, really useful.
and it can be overwhelming sometimes, right?
Yeah.
That whole you think you have to conquer everything at once, and you don't. Just start with one piece. Decide on one task that you want to automate or one thing that you want to improve your process. And then once that is going, find the next one.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm really excited about with RPA is it can send notifications via Teams or Slack or those other things. Because I don't know about you, Juan, but I know a lot of the techs that I worked with, they had a rule for their Outlook for any notifications coming from ConnectWise just went into a folder and they never saw it.
And I think with the introduction of all those chat, type of communications, instant communication when it comes to Teams or Slack or anything like that, people usually they pay more attention to those, right? Because they're just quick. I don't have to formalize the whole email when I'm sending it, and with the chat, it's just a quick response, so they can just see that notification. You can set it up, just it pops in there. When it comes to the Teams, if you have a group that's looking at those things, now you bring awareness to the whole team, and now everybody is aware and it's right there, and you can take action right away. So that is a really cool feature.
And right there in the team, whoever is going to own it can notify everybody as opposed to having to send out an email to everybody again. That way they can immediately say, hey, I'll jump on this, I'll take a look. But we can format that Teams message to give you the exact information that you need to act on, as opposed to trying to scroll through the whole email, ignoring the email because, you're used to all of these alerts and it just becomes noise. This is actually going to send you those key things that you really need to be aware of.
Yeah, I think that's when it comes back also to having your processes in place when you introduce these new things, right? So introducing something, make sure that, the whole team is aware of it and how it works. And what's the action, or not the action, the expectation when you put these things in place. So I mean, that's one of the key things. Make sure that you have those processes in place before go ahead and automating these things.
Absolutely. So now we're talking about workflows and those templates. And this is one of the cool things about the new ASIO workflows is they're a little more complicated to build. The first time I looked at the canvas, I was overwhelmed. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not like PSA. Not at all. It does take a little more getting used to, but there is so much more it can do because it can bring in RPA, it can bring in BrightGauge, it can bring in PSA and IT Boost and Smileback and all of your security products, all of those alerts and all of those things that are coming in. Can also bring in your third-party things. So HubSpot and those other things that maybe you're using for marketing or any other activities. HubSpot's the only one that comes to the top of my mind. I don't know if there's anything else that you're using with RPA, Juan, that you want to share.
You can integrate also, we can have the, obviously the RMM, the SentinelOne alerts. And typically like anything that has an API connection to it, you can actually go in and talk to it and be able to get those triggers. And if you really want to nerd out, you can even do like webhooks. So if you have any third-party application that is like, I don't know how to connect to it, but I'm able to do webhooks, you can also do that in order to integrate. And also, and you mentioned Teams, you have your integration with 365. And I think that's also, not just when it comes to automation and RPA, but that's the beauty of the whole ASIO platform. When everything is integrated, and you're bringing all those things in even on the previous slide when you're talking about all the 3 different tools, even, if you had Automate before, you were able to do all these things with Automate. You can still do those things now with RMM, but now you can combine the two. And I say, oh, now I'm going to do an RPA. I'm going to take items or things from RMM and I'm going to put them on PSA and do that whole combination, and the world is yours.
We're finally getting to that one pane of glass that we've been talking about for
Absolutely.
6 years now. It's all coming together. So, Juan, what are some of those repetitive tasks that you would love RPA or workflows to take over for you?
I'm not going to mention the creation of the new users because you have that on the template. Everybody is going through through that. Internally, we do have a lot of things where, we had actions for different teams inside of PSA with tickets. And it was their responsibility. It's like, I'm going to put it in this status and then just wait for somebody else to notice that it's in that status to do something, else. We've been able to automate a lot of those things. And it's simple things like just putting a note, like extracting a note from somewhere, putting into a ticket, make sure that it's in the right ticket status, make sure it has the right priority. A lot of the things that typically are missed because they're repetitive, and you go through the motions, and sometimes you forget.
Yep.
Now that we know that we have a process in place where some things need to be set, we just have RPA set those up for us. Kind of like working on a lot of people. It's not automatic dispatching yet. Well, that's kind of like where we want to go. Like when a ticket comes in, this is the criteria, these are the things that we have to do manually. Let's just automate all those things. We reduce, the human error, and then we're also saving time. You cannot imagine how many times you have to click on things, and the time waste there. And it's multiplied by the number of tickets that you get in, or the number of items that you work in the system. So that's been one of the things that we've automated. The user creation. I'm sure you're going to go through that
Yep.
Through that template.
Of course, that's our big, that's our big shining star right now. That's the biggest time save we have.
It is amazing, but just all the other things, and I think the trick is here to meet with your team and see what they are doing.
Yep.
I gave you another example in the mornings, or dispatch. There's a lot of notifications that come in, especially from alerting systems that are not tied into ConnectWise. So they just come in from this generic email because that's the original email, and they come into that catch-all, and it's just going through each one of those and assigning the right client to it. Now we have a whole RPA flow that is actually checking into the ticket and assigning the right company. So we're saving time for our dispatch in the morning, and all the things that she has to do, and it would just do those things automatically. So again, just ask your teams, like, what are you doing? What's your biggest pain? That we can we try
besides to keep your manager sometimes, right?
Well, they say tools, people, in process. I mean, sometimes we cannot fix people. But
for those of you who aren't familiar with Easio, this is what the new menu looks like. So you can see we have all of the things in one place. We have the endpoints, we have the data protection, the security, the automation, and sales all in one place. You're not having to go to multiple screens, multiple solutions. I think there we go. And then under automation is where we are going to find those new Easio workflows. So you can see we have tasks and scheduled tasks. The bots are in here too, so if you're wanting to build a bot. But under the workflows, my favorite part is this templates. As I said, the first time I looked at this, I was overwhelmed. These templates are game changer. So you can see here, we have a lot of different templates. If you click into one, if you click on it, it's going to give you a little more information about what it does. I'll show you a little more of that later, but I want to show you this digital worker. So you can see here, we have all of these places that's going to pull in information from that end user portal. So we're using the end user portal, having the client put in all of the data that we need. And that is the thing that I want to stress so much, is that end user portal. You can give them a form, tell them the information, what you need, and it's going to cut down on that back and forth phone tag. I'm sure your techs have some customers that they get tired of trying to call because they're never at their desk when they're supposed to be, so they constantly are playing phone tag and they can't fix the issue. Using the end user portal, I think, will definitely help with that. But this gives you the opportunity to get all of that information right here from there, right here from the ticket, and start it. So it's going to automatically create the user, assign licenses, and the best part is it's going to document all of that back to PSA. Yeah. You can tell it, put all of this in the notes, in the ticket, so your technician can look at it, your service manager can look at it and see exactly what happened and make sure that nothing got missed.
Yeah, these templates are fantastic. And like you said earlier, like keep it simple. You have your baseline with those templates to do, really all the hard work from that specific action. Like, so trying to create the new user, you have all that workflow in there. You can start with that and then expand, because you're just going to import that into your workflows, and then start adding all the, adjusting it to your different processes that you have in place.
And we have a lot of documentation that will help guide you through using some of these templates. So it'll show you the clicks, tell you what you need to select from your system. This using AI to summarize an escalated ticket, using AI in general to either summarize or assign the type, subtype, and item. I think this is the game changer to me. That summarization, it can give all of the information. Maybe, you have a tech's been working on this for a week, back and forth with the end user. And finally, we're having to escalate it up to that tier 2. Well, tier 2 doesn't want to read all of the back and forth. They just want to know, tell me what I need to do, right? So the AI is going to be able to summarize that and give them that bottom line and say, okay, this is what we need you to do to get it through to finish. So that is the great thing. And it's going to do that summary and put it into the PSA, into the ticket. And they'll have the notes right there. It's the last thing that they can read. They'll still have the history if they want to dig into it, but it's going to give them that immediately actionable task. So apparently I'm talking and I should actually
be. There you go. That's the
tip. So we're also going to look at some of those templates that can keep your devices up to date. So that managing device renewals, the restarts. So with this one, see, I'm remembering, I'm going to look at the tip first. So this is going to let your team members know when the configuration is expiring. If the configuration is expiring, the other thing is it can automatically generate that quote for CPQ. This was the exciting part for me being a PSA person. It can actually open an opportunity. There's never been a workflow that you've been able to take the configuration is expiring and open that opportunity. So it's saving your salespeople that step. It's putting that in their face, creating that opportunity. All they have to do, and with the CPQ integrations now, it can also create the quote. They just have to send it out, look it over.
That's a huge, not only time saver there just to generate that quote from CPQ, but the opportunity. It's creating that accountability, because some of those configs, some of those can be, in our case, those are renewals. So those are time sensitive.
Yep.
Right. So not only you need to make sure that they are created, or follow to the client, but the way for the sales team to have visibility to that is through the opportunities, through their pipeline. Things are about to expire, and it is, that you have the option in there now to create that opportunity directly into the PSA. So
and the sales team in teams, right? So you can let them know, hey, make sure you're checking your opportunities. There's new stuff out there. So even if they are out in the field, if they have teams on their phone, they're going to be getting those pings even when they're out on site with customers and not necessarily in the office. So this one is something that Neil and Renee had put together. So the customizing the automatic restart. So this is a way that we're going to bring something in from RMM. We're going to see that it needs a restart, but maybe, we have some customers that aren't in good financial standing, or maybe, they're time and materials and not fully managed. So we want to have something that's going to alert and check for that before it just does that automatic restart. Just making sure that if they're time and materials, or that if they're not in current standing, that we're getting paid for that work and we're not doing work for free. Definitely never fun to do work for free, right? It's always about being billable. And then the uptime monitor in RMM. So this one's pretty cool. Go to endpoints and alerts and monitors. And as I said, I'm not an RMM girl, but I can kind of figure this out. So this is our uptime monitor. We're looking for things that have been up for 14 days. I don't know about you, but I never like to restart my laptop. I only do it when security is bugging me that I have to. Maybe
how am I going to remember the 50 tabs I have open on my browser?
Exactly. Although Chrome does remember, that I love that whole open your history and it can just restore everything. That has been a lifesaver. But then there's so many other applications or PowerPoints that I have open that I'm working on. So yeah, restarting it up.
Thank you. I'm looking at my taskbar right now and praying that I didn't get a restart notification.
So then when we go to that edit the monitor, this is the thing that I like. We can put in those conditions. So we're looking for a Windows system, uptime is above the 15 minutes or whatever we're looking at. But we're going to have that monitor output a ticket. And this is where the magic happens. We want to make sure that we're using that mapper for the ticket because that's going to tell the ticket exactly where to go. In PSA, it's going to tell it the service board and that type, subtype, and item. This type, subtype, and item are not required, but I, of course, encourage. This is how we know where we're spending our time. This is how service managers can look at where are we spending our time? What are those processes that maybe we could be automating because they're taking up so much time and eating up our tax day. So make sure you're putting that information in there. You'll appreciate it later. And that is the thing that no automation is going to fix. Even the AI assigning the type, subtype, and item, it's still looking for what your history is. What's been the trend in your system? So you need to have those good behaviors before you can use the AI to automate them, unfortunately. So start building the good behaviors so you're ready for the AI is my motto.
And just as a side note on those types, subtypes, and items, when you are creating all those different triggers inside of RPA, those are great ways to be able to use those conditions because it's not going to execute for everything, but you want to make sure that it executes for something in particular, and then just put it in your process. If you want something to happen, it has to be X. And then one of the things that we do, if once it's executed, we can go back and update, that different subtype. In our sales process, that we would just flip it to and make note in the subtype that the actual RPA executed, so we know that it completed. So, kind of like a little workaround trick that we use just to know that things are happening, and then also flagging people inside the those service boards.
Well, the exciting thing that I've noticed about RPA that I haven't been able to put into practice yet, I haven't been able to build a workflow that's going to do this, but the fact that you can have that condition and you're not limited to a yes or no. You can say, have that condition looking for the service board, and you can have 10 different service boards in 10 different branches. So if it's on this service board, it's going to follow this path and take this action.
Yep.
It's on that. Now that, of course, is not adhering to the keep it simple because having all of that in one workflow could be a little overwhelming and trying to trace back. But just the possibility of that, it to me is just mind-boggling. So you can see here, we have our uptime monitor. It brought it over to our ticket here. There we go. It put in that summary. So this summary is coming from what we put into RMM. And then it's going to link it to that exact configuration. So we can want Screen Connect or whatever tool we're using to open that up. And then we had all of that information there. Went a little too fast. But you can see in our ticket notes, we have the information. We have our type, subtype, and item assigned. All of that information is coming over and helping us be more productive in PSA. And then if we are using our template over here, you can see here, so I have it bigger, but can't stress this enough. Click on it. It's just going to give you the information about exactly what it's going to do. You have to click try it. I was clicking on the thing and wondering why the heck isn't it not working for me? That try it. That is the button. That is the hotspot you want to be pushing. It is amazing how the simple things in life change my whole worldview. But this is what's going to happen when you do that try it. So it's going to give you the opportunity to rename it yourself, whatever, you could go with the name that it's coming in with, the description, or you can customize it to your situation. Those categories are big for helping sort and find your workflows. So those are, again, something that is custom to your situation, your instance. If you put something in here that isn't already in your system, it is going to create that category for you. So spelling counts, so be careful so that you're not creating multiple categories of something that's misspelled. And then we're going to click that done button, and it's going to take us to the canvas. So this looks like a crazy spider. all of our decision points and all of our decision points have to have that stop. I think that was the hardest thing for me to understand from the PSA perspective, is that remembering those stops. I'd be trying to publish it and it'd be saying I couldn't. And I'm like, why can't I publish it? Everything looks fine. And then I'm like, oh, I don't have a stop on this branch over here or something. So definitely making sure when you're building those conditions, if you don't have something else on the other side, that you do have a stop there. But you can see we scroll down and we get all of this. We bring in those variables, email subject, reboot task, all of that information. And I love this bottom one, add notes to the ticket. It can be done. We can make sure that the information is getting in there. And two, if we're running a bot, just like what back in the Automate days, we can add time to this ticket too, so that we make sure for our clients that we are showing that value. Even if we are doing this with automation, we still want them to know, hey, we looked at it, we had to do something, and we took action. So you were talking about that type, subtype, and item. So the whole, where do I begin? You've said it before, Juan. Get the tech buy-in. You have to find out from them, what are their pain points? Where are they spending their time? Where do they not want to be spending their time, right? What is taking up the bulk of their day and not letting them get to those important tasks? So make sure that you get their buy-in and start with the tasks that make the most sense to them. Slow. Like I said, it can seem overwhelming. You think, oh my gosh, the sky's the limit, right? I want to automate everything. It can be overwhelming. And then you get back and you start trying to implement everything at once, and it's overwhelming. And then if you're like me, I'm in the corner crying because I just can't make it work. So find one thing that's going to make the most value for your techs and implement that. And as we talked about, that type, subtype, and item. So you can see here, we can run that report in PSA. That's going to tell us where our techs are spending their time. Of course, you can also see the things that aren't categorized. So those also might be tickets that maybe we need to dig into and see, why aren't they getting categorized? Do we need to make new categories? Are the techs just being forgetful and not putting the stuff in?
Doesn't stay on must change.
Yeah, that's as good as uncategorized, right? Because you can put the must change in all caps and they're still not going to pay attention. There's only so much you could do to train techs. Techs and end users, I try, but I can only do so much. I'm not a psychologist with the behavior modification, I guess. So, but then too, we want to make sure that when things are coming in from that end user portal, we can assign that type, subtype, and item to the tickets right from there. So we can get all that information and have them categorized. Now, to the one that brings up your, dispatcher, if you have some sort of RPA dispatching process, whether it's round robin or something else, this is going to give that information to kick that off. Or, maybe you're putting ticket templates on as soon as they come in based on this information, so the tech knows the tasks. But getting this information into the ticket is the most important thing there.
Yeah.
And then in RMM, we can use that mapper as well. So that mapper is then going to also allow us to categorize that board, that type, subtype, and item. And I cut you off. You were starting to say something.
Oh no, you were talking about the end user portal and creating all those different forms, and it's a way to also provide the technology and the access to our clients, but also teach them that we need the right information in order to address their issue, right? So, we were talking about like creation of the new user. It's not just an email. It's like, hey, John starts on Monday and I need a new account for him. There's more that we need. So just using these, you're just making sure that you're asking the right questions. It's just filling those out. You can make them, required, not required. You have different options in there. Tailor those to the things that you want to receive based on the different drop downs. And the cool thing is, it's already built with that template. It's already built in to extract all that information from the ticket. Because if you think about it, this does not talk directly to RPA. This generates a ticket in your system, and then the RPA, all it's doing is extracting that information from the system, but it's properly formatted so we can understand it. So it's a benefit for the client, because end user portal, I get access to all the different tickets. I can see all the statuses, if it's follow up on, add notes, but they're part of the over here for the forms, and be able to map that into PSA, and also from RMM, right? Map it back into PSA, how it's entering that. Then you have your things in order, your process in order, already automated to take
and
the
that
next step.
consistency in the information that's coming in, making sure you have those things that you need so that you can then kick off those other processes. And I know sometimes it's hard to get that end user buy-in. They want to be able to just, they want to put it, they just want to send their email. They don't want to go to a portal, fill out all the information. The end user portal, I've done some presentations with it recently. It is probably one of my favorite things. It is, if you've used the original OG portal, this is not that. This is not.
The other thing when I think about the end user portal is, they like to send emails, but there's the other portion of security. With all emails being hijacked, or impersonations, anybody can just say, I'm going to send an email now to what Bros company. What's the name of you guys' company? Auto Bros. I'm going to send an email to Auto Bros because they manage this company, and I'm going to ask them to create a new user via email. And it's very hard to validate that. Inside the portal, you have to get validated.
Yep.
Either using the ConnectWise, having a ConnectWise account, or just using your Google or Microsoft single sign. So you actually validating that the user is the right user and has the right permissions in order to do things inside of the portal. So I feel like when it's talking to clients and showing them the benefits of the portal, mentioning the security piece, it's key to get that buy-in and make that change.
Well, and it's mobile friendly, which I love too. Because if you can't get signed into your desktop PC, there's nothing more frustrating than not being able to get into your email there, right? To be able to send. But if you can get into the portal, do your verification, you can send that information and they'll know exactly who you are. It's not coming from your personal email and getting lost in the catch-all. So they're going to be able to work that ticket. And of course, from the MSP viewpoint too, they can see all of their invoices out there. No more invoices getting lost in the inbox. They can see absolutely every single one, see what's past due. Depending on your payment provider, they can pay their invoices right through there. I mean, that's going to solve the checks in the mail. I lost the invoice in my inbox. I didn't get it. It's there. I don't want to hear from you.
We need to do a whole session on end user portal. Feels like it.
I would love to. You tell me when, and I'm there for you. This is my passion.
I will sign you up.
After the new year, I think we'll talk about end user portal, right?
After Connect.
Perfect. So then too, the final thing I want to touch on here is in ASIO, we have a hyper automation dashboard. So this is going to show you what workflows your techs are using, what bots are being executed. So you can see what is actually being used and what's not, and maybe why it's not being used or why these things aren't being triggered. And then you get all of that information, the top workflows. And I love the fact that this is the BrightGauge integration. So we can, of course, drill into this information and see all of that that's going on. And I just love the visualization of it. So, and that is going to be all of our reporting in ASIO is that BrightGauge.
And this is really cool when you're trying to, see the value of in the usage of the things that you're creating, because you're putting a lot of effort into this, and you want to make sure that the people are getting, they're being used, like the effort that you put into it is being replicated, and they're able to,
I mean, they're not PSA workflows that I could probably set up, a couple in 10 minutes or something. They're going to take a little more time and a little more effort, but there's so much more they can do. So you want to make sure that you're getting the value out. Absolutely. And there was a new feature that was released in them. I don't have it in the screenshots because it was literally released yesterday. There's now a test button for the ASIO workflows.
I know.
So we've been super excited that was happening before Automation Nation, before Connect. So that is definitely building workflows is something that we're going to be talking about at Automation Nation. If you have not signed up for that yet before Connect, I don't know if there's still spots open. I know we're limiting it to 100 people. So definitely something to check, but you do have to be signed up for Connect to be able to go to Automation Nation this time. And just a couple things to leave you with is that you do not rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your systems. So you can only be as good as your process allows. So make sure you're building those processes, looking at those processes, and deciding what makes the most sense for your business. Just because I showed fun stuff today does not mean maybe that's the right place for you to start. If you're just starting out, maybe the onboarding a digital worker is not the one to start with. That is probably the most complex, the most convoluted. There's so many parts and pieces there. Start with something a little simpler, like that AI summarizing. But figure out what works for your team, where their pain points are. Ask your techs, ask your customers, and most importantly, run those reports. Ask the customers what would make their lives easier, what information do they need. Choose the right tool. This is what I've been saying the whole time, right? We've talked PSA, RMM, RPA, they all have their strengths. Just because RPA is the shiny new thing on the shelf does not mean that we have to get rid of our PSA workflows, because they're the workhorses. They're the stuff that's still keeping our business afloat. So make sure we're still using those. You have to build trust in the automation. You have to know that it's really going to do the thing. You can't just send it out there and hope that it's going to happen and do the thing, because that's a little scary and might cause more problems than it solves.
Yep. Double check. Do it today. Build it today. Check it tomorrow. You can check all the instances, everything where it ran, and now we have the also the test portion. But I've seen a couple where I created one and I was like, oh, this is great. And a week later, get notifications like, this is not working. And I go in and I see all the errors on the instance, like, oh man, I forgot to add this. Another cool feature that's been added for a while. It's where you can actually see that the one that failed, the instance, you can actually see where, so you can go back into your workflow and adjust that based on that.
Yeah, the fact that you no longer have to read JSON to be able to understand and diagnose your workflows is amazing. And then track the effectiveness, monitor and see what they're using, and build from there, right? See what your most popular workflow is, and okay, how can we, or maybe what your least used workflow is and why is it not getting used? How can we make it better? What can we do to make it more effective for our team? But that is it. I always love my little crazy-eyed owl.
So what is it for the people out there, if they want to, they haven't gotten started with the RPA piece, what will be like the first step? What do you recommend will be the first thing that they should do?
There are some great how-to videos and some documentation. We've been updating the documentation so that it really gives you that walkthrough of, okay, this is where you should start. And we've been linking in the videos. Matt Preston, who's been helping us with that, has been fabulous. He's been doing some videos showing us how he's doing some of the more complicated things. But yeah, there's a ton of information out there in the university. I highly recommend you check it out. I'm sure that we're going to have lots of sessions about it at Connect. We're definitely doing the Automation Nation. The Automation Nation is focused on RPA, and we're going to have 2 tracks for those who are just beginning, building the first workflow, and then a track for those more advanced who are ready to start building custom workflow actions and custom bots. So if you've been to an Automation Nation before and you're like, oh, I know all of this, I don't want to sit through it again, we are having that separate track for the advanced users. Because at this point, we know we're coming. And it's not even necessarily a 50-50 split out there. Some people are still like, what's ASIO? That's the question that I just dropped my face to my hand.
And I've been to a couple Automation Nations, and they are well worth it, going in there to get started. With the different examples, you can just go through the canvas, build those things, ask the questions, because the texts are right there.
I'll be there. Help
Yeah.
answering questions, helping guide. So
Yeah. Neil will be there, I bet.
oh yeah.
So,
Neil will be there. He actually
yeah.
just got back from his cruise today. Otherwise, I would have made him do this. But you know.
Yeah. So yeah, it's well worth it. And also, and like I said, a test from me as far as like the university when we got started, and just go in there and just review, you know, the basic steps just to get started. And then on you mentioned Matt, and Matt has a call every Thursday.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think he's still doing the
moderation.
Thursday webinars.
Yeah, and it is amazing. The things that he's done. They have the bot of the week. So you learn about it, the bot, and you can ask questions. Today, actually, somebody had a question. They went through it, got off the mic, you know, explaining it. So even if you're now just getting started and get stuck, join that call and say, I have a question. They'll just bring you in. So it has been very, very, very useful. And again, this is available to everybody right now. That's how their PSA ACO it's available. I think that's kind of like the messaging out there, right? When we talk about ACO, it is out there, it's available, and you can start with the RPA starter, which is which it's available for all partners. So if you don't have it, just reach out to your account manager. Put my kind of like my ConnectWise hat here. I
was gonna say, do we pay you a commission on the back end or something?
No. It's being recorded though, so
gotta ask Sean for that. Those drink credits or at
No.
least something at Connect, right?
No, so fantastic. Well, thank you, Lynette, for showing this. I'm surprised that we haven't got a ping. Oh, do we have something on the private chat? Oh, yes, it is that we have 5 minutes left. I was going to say, I'm surprised that we haven't got a message that we're running out of time. So again, thank you, Lynette, for joining us, for being part of the Central Mafia and for sharing this with everybody. So again, everybody who is going to connect, Automation Nation is available. So if you have not signed up for that and there's still spots available, you may want to do that. And make sure you stop by the communities section and say hi to us, because we'll be there. And Lynette, I hope to see you here in a couple of weeks.
I'm looking forward to it. It's warmer weather than what we're used to here in the Central Mafia area, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Florida in November. So.
Yeah, fantastic. So, all right, thank you so much. I know we are over time, so we'll see you soon, and we'll see everybody here soon, either virtual or at Connect.